We are back grading two more of your
Mm-hmm.
Dynasty trades. Now,
That's
if
right,
you
baby.
want your trades to be considered in this video series, it's pretty simple. Join our Discord with the link in the description. And in our Discord, there is a text channel that says Dynasty Trades.
That's right.
Anytime you submit a trade in there, it's officially considered for review. We got two trades to look at today, Badaki, and I think they're both pretty interesting because I feel like they're both quite even, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult to find a winner and a loser. So the first trade we're going to look at, shout out to Cold Case 1856.
Oh man, don't take that case out. That's a hard one there.
This is your trade. You can now see it on the screen. Team A gets Mac Jones, Travis Etienne, a 23 first. Team B gets Joe Burrow and the 207.
Man,
who won this trade, Badaki?
It's a tough one. This is really close, and I like these close ones because you just never know. But for me, I'll give Team B the edge. I mean, it's Joe Burrow and the 207 for me. It sounds crazy, but I mean, this guy is a top five, top six, however you like to see it in Dynasty football right now. And why not take Joe Burrow, a guy that is paired up with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Moneybag Mixon? They just invested a crazy amount in their offensive linemen. That was the problem. What was the problem? The offensive line. What did they do? They got offensive linemen. I mean, the expectation is that he is going to skyrocket and have all the time in the world in the pocket. You hope. But let's not forget about the 207. Even though the 207 feels like the middle of that is the second round in your rookie drafts, it's not terrible. These are the guys that you can get: a Trey McBride, a James Cook, and Jerome Ford. I mean, there's so many more people you can get just depending
Sky
on
Moore maybe if he falls.
Depending on how your board falls. But I think that's fantastic, and you can get some of these guys, high upside guys. I think that's okay, so why not take a chance on Joe Burrow? And look, Team A, for me, there is promise, but still so much question. I think this is why when you look at these trades, you're like, I don't know, okay? You think of Mac Jones. I believe in Mac Jones. I think he's a great quarterback. Does he have the weapons around him? Not yet, but they are still building around him. I do believe they're going to continue to bring players in. They have the Bill Belichick effect happening over there. Travis Etienne, a guy that I was never really high on. When I say high on, I believe in the talent. I just don't like the landing spot. And I don't know if you can watch our buy or sell on Travis Etienne. I said, I don't know if the Jacksonville Jaguars organization could project him to be as talented as he should truly be. I could be wrong, and we're still waiting for that because we haven't seen him on the field. That's another thing, that injury. How is his play going to look like? We don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back, but you hope that there's something there. And then the 2023 first, where is that first? There's a question mark. It's a good 2023 first, no doubt about it. Where is it?
2023 first is a good first.
Mm-hmm. Sorry?
Yeah. Every 2023 first is a good first.
Yeah, I know, no, for sure. But there's questions. Is it top 5? Is it 12? Is it 11? Then it really changes everything because it's like, damn, I basically traded a late first round for Joe Burrow. That's what it feels like. But I know that's one part of the deal, but that's how I'm seeing this trade right now. I think that's why I'm taking the Joe Burrow side on this trade.
It's just pretty difficult for me because I am a Travis Etienne truther. I do believe in Travis Etienne. And this year I think he steps into top 12 elite category. I really do believe that happens.
Right.
However, I do lean towards Team B in this deal. I will say I think this is a very close trade, and there's validity on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
The 2023 first, I mean, that is gold. We cannot undervalue that. But again, players bust every year. Okay, you know who Joe Burrow is. The big point of tension here is the Mac Jones versus Joe Burrow, because there will be people in the comments who will say, well, Mac Jones is a pretty damn good quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean, he wasn't far off of Joe Burrow this year.
I agree.
Well, I thought that myself. I mean, 22 touchdowns, 12 interceptions when I'm initially looking at this, and I'm thinking, well, I mean, his wide receiver 1 was Jacoby Myers. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I kept saying, let's get Mac Jones some weapons. But Joe Burrow is arguably set up better than any quarterback in the NFL right now. He's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. The offensive line is approved. And you cannot underestimate the upside that both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins bring to Joe Burrow on a weekly basis. And not even for this week, for this year, for years to come. Okay, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins collectively have already had 9 games of 20 points or more with Joe Burrow under center. Higgins, putting up a career high 43 points. Chase, 55 points. These young elite weapons that are attached to Joe Burrow raises his upside significantly. Yes, the Pats can go try and get an elite wide receiver in the draft, but we've seen that not pan out before in N'Keal Harry. You know, it doesn't always work out.
No, it doesn't.
And while Mac Jones was really, really good last year, he wasn't really good for fantasy yet. Okay.
Right. Agreed.
He was in that category of really good for the team, not a guy that you wanted to start. I mean, let's look at Mac Jones versus Joe Burrow points per game last year. Mac Jones finishes a quarterback 18, but he averaged 14 points per game. That is 29th in the NFL.
Right.
Okay. Worse points per game in fantasy than Sam Darnold, Big Ben, Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, Taylor Heineke, Teddy Bridgewater, Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones, Jimmy G, Jameis Winston. I mean, that is a list of quarterbacks that you do not want to start. And I know he's a rookie, but it's at least something that we need to consider.
Right.
Then you look at Joe Burrow, he finished quarterback 8, averaged 20.5 points per game, almost six and a half more per game. And that was the 10th highest in the NFL. So again, Mac Jones, the quarterback 18 finish looks good. But then what about points per game? 29th. That is quite concerning. So while I see value on both sides, I do think I would lean Team B here in a super flex league. Of course, we're talking super flex perspective.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow truly feels like a generational quarterback. I want to bet on him going forward. So I see value on both sides. However, if I'm selling Burrow, I think I want a little bit more. If I'm moving on from Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Someone who feels like a top 5 pick in startups.
I agree. And maybe what you could have done differently, is not, sell somebody else. I would have taken a shot. I don't know what your team looks like, and this is why it's so hypothetical. I think of quarterbacks like a Derek Carr now. I think of quarterbacks like a Matt Ryan, and that's hard. Maybe you give that 23
You don't
first.
get a 23 first for Matt Ryan. You don't get anywhere near that.
No, I know, but like instead of team A trying to sell Joe Burrow, and getting Mac Jones in return, maybe I am trying. I guess it's a bit confusing because you just don't know the team. It's tough. It's tough. Never mind.
You're saying you don't want to move Joe. I get it.
Yeah, I just don't want to move Joe. Maybe you find somebody else. I don't know what your team looks like, your quarterback room looks like, but don't move Joe. That's an untouchable. Like, there's a list of guys there. So
he's touchable for me, but it just has to be more value. Let's give grades real quick.
Pause.
Team A, I gave a B flat. Team B, I gave a B plus. Again, I think it was super close for me. I just would have wanted a little bit more value if I'm moving on from Joe this early.
Right. For me, Team B, I gave an A minus, and then Team B, I gave an A minus, and Team A, I gave a B minus. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the next trade. You can now see it on the board. Shout out to Greg C. So Team A gets Aaron Rodgers, J.K. Dobbins, and Amari Cooper. Team B gets Justin Fields, A.J. Dillon, and Chris Godwin. It's interesting. I'll go first just on this one.
That's fine. Yeah, go for it. I mean, this is tough.
I don't think that there has been a trade on this series yet where I've truly looked at it and said, this is genuinely an even trade.
Right.
And it makes sense for potentially both sides. I think this is a win-win deal. I'll tell you what side I prefer, but first let me just explain. I mean, Team A, I'm assuming, and what does assuming do? It makes an ass out of you and me. But I'm assuming that this is a win-now team. All right, Aaron Rodgers for the next couple of years is most likely going to be more valuable than Justin Fields in Superflex leagues. Now, Fields could take the step with the rushing upside, and I could be wrong. But then you look at Amari Cooper. If he enters this year as the only alpha, which it looks very likely that's going to happen in Cleveland, the amount of work that he's going to get with Deshaun Watson is incredible. And then J.K. Dobbins. This is another piece that makes it so difficult for me to truly judge a winner, because this is the piece that I feel like Team A would say, I need JK. Like, I'm demanding that JK's in this trade in order for it to go. Like, this is a huge loss for Team B. JK's my running back 7. This whole split backfield narrative with him is really funny to me, considering that the Ravens run the ball more than any other team.
Exactly.
In 2018, in 2019, in 2020, they ran the ball more than any other team. So I don't think we should be worried about JK. And I view him as a top 7 guy, top 8 guy. And then I look at Team B. And like I said, Team A, I think, is probably win now. Team B is probably looking to build more towards the future, right? They're probably not looking to win straight away. Justin Fields, a quarterback that you and I both really believe in, Badaki. We believe he has top 12, potentially top 8 upside at the quarterback position.
Absolutely.
The raw arm talent, the rushing upside. And Aaron Rodgers is 38. You move on from Aaron Rodgers, you get Justin Fields. I think anyone in their right mind, even if you don't believe in Justin Fields, I could be wrong here, would send Aaron Rodgers to get Justin Fields in return for the longevity of their team. A.J. Dillon, definitely a downgrade. However, I mean, I think there's a point in the middle of the season where Dillon is probably going to be viewed quite valuable because these running backs are going to be important to this team. And I think you can move on from him if you don't believe in him. And then the Godwin move. I feel like Godwin is being... I just think he's being massively undervalued.
Agreed.
With his age, with his position, with his contract, with his quarterback for the next couple of years, he's my wide receiver 10. I mean, I think this is a huge upgrade to go from Amari Cooper to Chris Godwin, both for the longevity of your team and for just them as players. I mean, if you look at Chris Godwin's year before he was injured, it was super, super impressive. And he also had way more targets per game than anyone else on that team. So, look, we are truly, truly splitting hairs here. However, and I think both teams win if they are doing the strategies I mentioned.
Yeah,
I would choose Team B if I had to choose one person, just because of how much I believe in Justin Fields. But where do you kind of sit on this? I know I just rambled on for a while, but man, I looked at this trade for a while and really tried to work it out.
For me, I'm agreeing with you. It is Team B for me. The only downfall and the only question mark that I have for Team B, but I do agree. One feels like a win now team. One feels like a futuristic team. For Team B specifically, the only question mark I do have on this team is A.J. Dillon. I do agree how, like, you know, A.J. Dillon is probably going to need to be part of this offense a little bit more. They don't have Devontae Adams anymore. Maybe he gets more of a, you know, he gets more workload. The expectation is going to be 50-50. We still don't know what that looks like. The expectation of them drafting a wide receiver, maybe even 2 wide receivers in the first, we don't know. Yeah. But if they do draft a wide receiver, I don't know if A.J. Dillon's value changes, you know, like it goes up still, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. It goes up still. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know.
From last season to this season, I personally think that he is more valuable this year than he was last year based off of Aaron Rodgers coming back and Devontae Adams, who just demanded so much offensive attention, leaving. Even if they bring in 2 wide receivers, I feel like his value is better now.
I think he is, but I don't know how much better that is. You know, I don't know if it was worth trading away J.K. Dobbins for that. And I think that's
not straight up, but yeah.
No, for sure. But the way I'm seeing it, Aaron Rodgers for Justin Fields, J.K. Dobbins for A.J. Dillon, Chris Godwin for Amari Cooper. I know that it's probably not. That's not how you're supposed to view it. But right now, this is how I'm seeing it. I'm getting a running back for running back, a quarterback for quarterback, and a wide receiver for wide receiver. And
you win 2 of them, you have to lose somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like maybe I'm being too greedy. Maybe I should have gotten a second, an early second with that, mid second with that, just to see if I can get another running back piece. But everything you said about the team, you hit the nail on both teams. You hit the nail on the head. I agree with Aaron Rodgers. I agree everything you said with J.K. Dobbins. He's my top 8. Amari Cooper. What's gonna be with Deshaun Watson not being there? And I completely agree with Chris Godwin. He is my wide receiver 10 as well. People are undervaluing him. We just brought out a video about being must win now trades right now, and Chris Godwin was on that list for me. There's tremendous value for Chris Godwin right now, especially with Tom Brady. Yeah. Does he come back for 1 year or 2 or even 3? We don't know. Chris Godwin, no matter what, I think he will be fantasy relevant with whatever quarterback is around him. So I do give the edge to Team B because of the futuristic notion and believing that he's going to play for the future.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, we have to keep in mind, A.J. Dillon's only 23 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's attached to a very, very good offense.
I just don't know if like the workload is truly going to change. That's the thought. Like the thought process
doesn't really
is cool.
have to though. It doesn't have to. For the trade value that you're getting in return, it doesn't have to. I mean, even if Aaron Jones has never been like a 25 touch per game guy, that's how that offense works. But
yeah, I mean, AJ Dillon finished
I think it's
RB23 this past year. I can definitely see him sneaking in the top 18. You know,
yeah, I think it's a win-win.
But we'll see.
So I gave Team A an A-, Team B an A-. I truly view this as a needle split, not like it's a hair splitting thing.
For me, I gave Team B an A and Team A B+. So I do believe they still have the opposite side. Even though I was just ranting about AJ Dillon, I still do believe he has the upside there.
Okay. All right, comment down below. Let us know what your thoughts are. And maybe we'll do it again next week.
We will.
Yeah.
Yo, what's good?
What
Thanks
up?
for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch
Now,
it.
You can also subscribe
Right now.
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/fantasylandfam.